Hey guys, welcome back to Crime Time with Jess. Sorry we got cut off there. My laptop, I thought it was fully charged. Apparently it was not. Uh, so I'm not going on cam because I was explaining in the first live stream I was trying to do 10 minutes ago or so. I've been getting my house ready for Thanksgiving and I'm just not camera ready, basically. But while I was doing all that, of course, I was listening to YouTube and different news things and such. And so I knew I wanted to do this live stream, but it's pretty sad, honestly. Um, Lyle's wife, Rebecca Sneed, said she came out and said that this was not a cheating scandal, guys, and I'm calling BS on that. Okay, I feel like the Menendez brothers are being so whitewashed right now by social media. Like their supporters are fanatical. I mean, they really like do these crazy mental gymnastics to explain away all of their bad behavior and things like that. I mean, the comments that I repeatedly keep seeing are, this is their private life, it's none of our business. Or Rebecca cleared this up. He wasn't cheating. They were separated. Well, they were not separated a couple of months ago. Rebecca, Rebecca was saying, I don't know why women keep putting perfume on letters and like sending them to Lyle, knowing that he's a married man. She just said this like 60 days ago. Okay. He recently was just talking about his 20 something wedding anniversary coming up and how grounded his marriage makes him and all this stuff. There was no mention of a separation or this 20, actually, she's 20. She's not even 21 yet. This girl is not even legally, she can't even legally drink in the United States. Okay. Her birthday's in December. She's about to be 21. But as of now, she can't even legally drink in this country. So let that sink in. And Lyle, again, his birthday is January 10th. So he'll be 57 years old. This man is 3 years away from being 60 some years old and is with a girl that ain't even legally able to drink. I'm just saying. He's gross. I am not a fan, and I'm not going to pretend to be a fan. I kept saying I was on the fence with this case. And I am on the fence still. When it comes to the sexual abuse, it's hard for me not to believe them. But then I think about all the other things that Lyle has lied about. Eric was caught red-handed on the stand, lying his tail off. And it was a pretty shocking moment when it happened because he went into great detail with this lie. And it was a pure, outright lie. Okay, and if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, the prosecutor was asking Eric about when he said he went to the Big Five store, him and Lyle, to look at handguns. And the prosecutor's asking him all these questions, did you saw the handguns up there? And Eric's describing that he saw the handguns up on the top shelf and blah, blah, blah. But there was a 15-day waiting period. And he goes through all of this detail about being in the store and looking at the handguns. And because there was a 15-day wait and they were so terrified for their lives, they decided to, go buy two 12-gauge Mossberg shotguns. But the shocking moment was after the prosecutor asked him all these questions about being at the Big Five with Lyle and looking at these handguns, and Eric, giving all this detail about being there and looking at these handguns. The prosecutor goes, Mr. Menendez, would it surprise you that the Big Five stopped selling guns in 1985? Which was like a whoops. And I think what was telling about that moment was that Eric didn't really, his eyes kind of got big for a second, but he didn't lose his composure. He didn't get too riled up. Even though he was dead set caught in this lie, instead he goes, Mr. Kamayuchi, I can't pronounce his name, but it was the prosecutor. But he goes, we did go to that store and we did see guns there. That was his answer. No, you didn't. You did not see any guns at that store because they weren't sold there for 5 years before you said that you went there. So, dead ass lie. Hi, who is that? Lee with love. Hey, girl, how are you? A long time no see. What's your take on this case, Lee with love? How are you feeling about the Menendez brothers? Think they should be released, not released? See a lot of people for and a lot of people against. Very mixed bag. It's like it's 1990 again. We're back in the early 90s with this case. But I want to go ahead and show you guys Rebecca Sneed crying, unfortunately. I think it's pretty sad. So let's watch this real quick. Let me mute myself.
Interest in the Menendez brothers continues thanks to the hit Netflix series, but there's a twist. Does married Lyle Menendez have a girlfriend? Jim Murray reports.
The 56-year-old convicted killer is reportedly in a relationship with a 21-year-old college student identified as Millie Buxey. But Lyle is married to Rebecca Sneed, a 55-year-old lawyer. She relocated to San Diego
I want to stop it here for a second because this is Rebecca and her window. And when they show it more, she cries. And it's really sad.
4 years ago to be closer to her jailed husband. They've been married for 30 years. She was recently captured looking downtrodden at her home. Lyle and Millie's reported romance is said to have started earlier this year after Lyle spotted the 21-year-old in a Facebook group run by Lyle's wife. Millie must really be smitten because she lives in Manchester, England, and flew 5,300 miles to visit the infamous Menendez brother. His first marriage to former Playboy model Anna Erickson came to an end in 2001 after she allegedly caught him sending love letters to another woman. The revelation that he may have a new girlfriend comes as the Menendez brothers' bid for freedom hits a new snag. First, LA's DA, who'd been supporting the brothers' release, lost his bid for re-election. Now Governor Gavin Newsom says he won't consider the brothers' bid for clemency until LA's new DA takes office next month and reviews the case.
Like I said, looks pretty bleak for the Menendez brothers. Okay, their hearing was rescheduled for the end of January, and the DA and the judge both said that they need more time. I'll say it again, I don't think this DA likes them. If they get out, I'll be surprised. But this case is so convoluted that really nothing that happens would probably truly surprise me. It just seems like this DA doesn't really like them and isn't super keen on getting them out. And I think it is apparent that George Gascon was doing exactly what this new DA said he was doing, which was, throwing a Hail Mary up and seeing if it was going to work, basically, and it didn't. But I want to go back to look at Rebecca Sneed here crying because it's just so sad. I mean, you can definitely tell that she was, crying. I kind of zoomed into this on my phone and I slowed it down and really looked at her face. This woman is heartbroken. I think she's keeping a good public face, but the reality is just that, what woman in their right mind is going to stick by a man for really 30 years, because they were friends for an entire decade before they actually married. When he was cheating on his first wife, it's never really truly been said who he was cheating on her with, but a lot of people suspect that it was Rebecca. So him and Rebecca have been in each other's lives for 30 years. They've been married for over 20 now. So it's pretty sad for her. And for anybody, I'm so sick of seeing comments to her like, "Oh, Rebecca, we love you. Thank you for standing by the brothers." It's like nobody's acknowledging that this has to be severely painful for her. Nobody's acknowledging your husband is a cheating piece of shit. I'm just going to say it. Okay, be mad, but that's how I feel about him. I mean, you're damn lucky to be a life without parole prisoner, a double convicted murderer, and to actually have a lawyer for a wife. And you have the audacity to trade her in for a girl that kid, it's not even old enough to drink. I know that they said she's 21. She's not. Her birthday is in December. So she's still 20 years old. She hasn't quite turned 21. She is from Britain. I don't know the drinking age there. I do believe it's lower than the United States. But either way, if she came to the United States right now, she would not be able to go into a bar and legally drink. I'm just saying. Pretty disgusting of him. So Lee would love is saying, it is like the 1990s. My son's dad was in New Folsom with Lyle in the late 90s. If I ever spoke to him, I'd get his opinion. Oh, I would love that. I would love to hear his opinion. I think they will be released with whatever deal they can get out of. With whatever deal they can get to get out of the press. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. It looks like their hopes of getting out are diminishing a little bit, but anything can happen at that hearing. I think that the family and everybody was really excited about the hearing that happened the other day, but nothing came from it except for a delay. So there is another video that I want to watch that kind of threw me for a little bit of a loop, and I wasn't quite sure what to make of this video. And I listened to it a couple of times because I was like, is that what they just said? Did they really just say that Eric had excessive communication or excessive contact with a woman? That was really weird for me. But anyway, let's listen to this.
Eric and Lyle were expected to appear remotely in court today from their San Diego prison, but that fell apart due to technical issues. The judge, however, did set a new date for their resentencing hearing after what was a pretty chaotic day outside court.
Guys, please.
Watch it. Don't trip. Don't trip.
What do you say to them with a delay like today?
They're going to be getting out by Christmas?
More than 50 photographers scrambled to get shots of Eric and Lyle's relatives as they entered court. Two of them were actually allowed to testify today because of their advanced ages. 85-year-old Terry Baralt, who is the sister of Jose Menendez, and Joan Vandermolen, who is the sister of Kitty Menendez. She turns 94 tomorrow.
Both made impassioned pleas with the judge to send the brothers home.
Are you hopeful that they're going to get out by Christmas?
Yes.
That seems impossible now after a judge pushed back a December resentencing hearing to January 30th. One likely factor in resentencing, Eric and Lyle's conduct during their nearly 35 years in prison.
They have helped so many other inmates. They have received college degrees.
The resentencing is, who are they now? Are they likely to reoffend? Have they been good prisoners? I can't think of two more exemplary people.
Still, their prison discipline records allege some interesting infractions. Officials allegedly found a cell phone in a pillowcase in Eric's cell. They also allege he had excessive contact with a female visitor. As for Lyle, the report...
Excessive contact with a female prisoner, or not a female prisoner, visitor. Excessive contact with a female visitor. I'm really confused about this. Are they talking about his wife? Was he touching his wife too much? I guess he could get an infraction touching anyone too much and visiting, right? But I would just think if it was his wife, would they really give him an infraction for that? I mean, I guess they would. But they just said female visitor. Wouldn't they say something like excessive contact with his wife, just female visitor? I just thought that was really weird. And also Eric himself had a darn cell phone. So they both have been caught with cell phones, which is,
As for Lyle, the report claims a woman visitor brought him a pair of Adidas sneakers, which is against the rules. He was also allegedly in possession of a contraband cell phone.
So it's going to be a balancing test. It's going to be the totality of the circumstances. And I think they still have a compelling case to be released.
Now, their whole thing with trying to be released is that Roy Rosello, a Menendez former band member, has come forward and said that Jose Menendez sexually assaulted him when he was younger. And also that the habeas corpus thing is because of this letter that was found in Lyle and Eric's cousin's possessions. Andy Cano, he testified for them in the first trial. He was very close to Eric. And in this letter, Eric, in a couple of lines, alludes to his father assaulting him. So the defense is saying, this is brand new evidence that corroborates what they said. So they're asking for, this hearing about this new evidence. Now, it's a little tricky, I guess, because it can't be introduced as new evidence if the defendant was aware of it prior. You know what I mean? Like, I guess they're going to say, that Eric forgot about this letter, which I guess could happen. But I would think if you're on trial for your life and there was anything that could help you, you might remember writing a letter like that. Lead with Love is saying, I feel for the women. Sorry. I feel for the women. I was one of those prison wives. Yeah, I do too. And you know what? I was never a prison wife. But I feel for them because I don't see any comments, very few to Rebecca that are saying, hey, I'm praying for you. Or, hey, I'm really sorry that this is happening to you. Very, very few comments like that. Instead, they are all praising her for standing by him. And they should not be praising her for this. That is nothing to praise someone about. I sincerely hope that Rebecca Sneed lays down her sword and lets that 20-year-old girl pick it up and fight for this man. Because I certainly would not be doing any more battling for him at all. But again, it's all this praise and, you're standing by him. You're such a great person. You're such a great woman. This woman's in agony. She's crying out of her window. I mean, again, who wants to see their husband in prison with a 20-year-old sitting on his lap and him cheesing, grinning from ear to ear like the Cheshire Cat with his new toy? That cannot feel good. Even let's just say that she's not trying to save face here and they actually were separated for a while. I'm not buying that at all. But let's just say that is true. It's still, you've put 20 years of married life into someone. To see those types of pictures no matter what, is going to hurt. And clearly she is very hurt. So let's see. Lead with love. I won't mention another channel in chat. However, there's a former LT from CDCR who has a lot to say about them. I'll send you his info. No, you could say it, Lead with love. You know me. I'm not one of those creators that's like, you can't mention another channel in my chat, or how dare you do that. I'm not like that. You should know me, girl. You put it right up in the chat. Let's talk about it. Do you mean a former lieutenant? I'm thinking that's what you mean. I don't know what the acronyms stand for. But I would like to know who the other channel is, please. But anyway, I sincerely do feel bad for this woman, feel bad for her, and I really wish people would stop it with the praising her for standing by him. She doesn't owe him that. She does not owe him that. And I just don't believe that, anyone should be praising that. Oops. So Lee Would Love is saying, Hector Bravo from That Prison Guard. And yes, Lieutenant from CDCR. He's good and would probably collab with you. Really? Well, that would be nice. Did you see my meltdown the other night when I got all upset about not collabing with people? And I got all in my emotions about it. That would be really cool. So I guess he has been in their presence and knows them or whatever. Yeah, please email me. I think you know my email address. Pretty sure you do. But if not, it is in my bio. So please send me that information. I would love to talk to him. I would love to hear what he has to say about them. Or maybe I should just go watch his channel, honestly. But yeah, I would love to have a conversation. Yes, he has, and yes, he did. Wow. That's going to be really interesting. You've just given me something new to watch. Because I just see the brothers, again, I was saying this when I started the first live stream when my laptop died. But I just see them being so whitewashed. They're being extremely whitewashed on social media. Like, they're being portrayed as these stellar inmates that are just been model inmates, and they're just so wonderful, and they love each other, and they're just loving brothers, and they're victims, and I'm just it's overkill. I probably shouldn't use that word, bad word to use in this stream, but the outpouring of affection. I told a lady today, she was in a comment section of one of these channels, like, that is dedicated to the Menendez brothers, like Free the Menendez Brothers or whatever. And she said, Lyle, and this was on a video about him and his wife separating. And this lady writes, Lyle, I would marry you any day with hearts. And I said, lady, on behalf of the woman delegation, we're going to need you to turn in your woman card ASAP. You cannot be running around here telling this double convicted murderer cheater that you will marry him tomorrow and still expect that we're going to let you carry around a woman card. No, you're not. We want you out of our delegation, okay? So it's pretty disgusting. I see women falling all over themselves. I even seen somebody, and this was crazy disrespectful. This was on his Facebook page, where Rebecca had put that post about, hey guys, this isn't a cheating scandal, and we're still best friends, and we've been separated for a while, blah, 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 blah. On that post, some crazy woman said, wait, does this mean that Lyle's single with heart eyes? Like, oh, can I go after him now? He's single. You guys aren't together. I mean, it's just really sickening. Women that line up to be with these men that they don't even know. I think it's very different. Lee would love, I don't know how you became a prison wife. If you want to talk about that, I would love to hear about it because it's fascinating to me. But I do think it's different if you are already married or already in a relationship and your partner goes away to prison and then you continue the relationship, because at least you did know them in real life. At least you did live with them actually in real life and know them. I think that's very different than writing someone you do not know in prison, looking for a romantic relationship with them, and then, getting involved with them romantically. I think that's very different. And I don't understand the women that do that. I know it's hybristophilia. I know the definition of hybristophilia, but it's just so weird. It's like this need for control and security. You know this man's in jail. I mean, I was going to say, they can't cheat on you, but Lyle's over here proving us all wrong. So, but you always know where they are. They're not out running the streets. They're not out cheating. Well, not physically anyway. So I know that this is a condition for some women, but I don't understand all of the praise for Rebecca standing by him. What an awful thing to encourage somebody to do. I did leave a comment for her. And I said, I know this has to be, hey, you. Hey, mister. Hold on. Oliver's going to walk right across my keyboard. You hold on a second. But I did leave her a comment on Facebook, and I said something along the lines of, I know this has to be harsh, but I said something similar to what I'm saying now. Just I hope you lay down the sword. Let her pick it up and carry on his fight with him, and God bless you. I hope that you get everything in life that you deserve, and I do. Seeing her cry this way, it's awful. It's got to be a horrible feeling. And I just, I hope that she finds a man in real life that is actually there, that can hug her, that can be there for her, that can help with money and financially support and do all the things that, a real life man can do or should do. And her being a lawyer, she's got a good background, so I'm sure she makes her own money, good money, decent money. So really, I hope she finds good companionship with someone. I think Lyle is a real piece of work for doing what he did. And I think he's absolutely disgusting. And someone said the other day, I was reading this comment on my other live stream, and they said they had went to high school with him. And they said, as much as Lyle doesn't think he's like his dad, like he's exactly like his dad. He acts like him. He talks like him, all this kind of stuff. And they said that Lyle was a huge bully. And they were like, after him and Eric committed all the robberies in Calabasas, and Jose quickly moved them out of Calabasas and into Beverly Hills because they had committed all those robberies, and he paid off all the people or whatever. The person commenting that he went to high school with, she said, a lot of us were happy that they left. A lot of us were happy that they moved out of town because they called Lyle the big bully. That was their name for him, I guess. And I can see it. I've seen people compare him to his dad and say things like, well, you're just like your father. And then I've seen other people flip out and say, how dare you, compare him to that abusive pedophile, blah, 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 blah. I don't think that's the way that they're comparing them. I think they're comparing them because Jose had multiple affairs, and really broke Kitty Menendez all the way down. You know, he just broke her right in half. And Lyle, in that way, being a cheater, is very much like his dad. This is the second wife that he's done this to. Behind prison walls at that. So if he's doing this behind prison walls, imagine what this guy is going to be like on the outside. Going completely buck wild. Again, I see him having somebody pregnant within a year, which is just really selfish as hell. You know, I get mourning not having a family, or, you know, that time has kind of passed. Because, you know, say he gets out in January or February or March or something and gets somebody pregnant, you know, soon after getting out. He'll be 57 years old having a child. That is very selfish to the child. I mean, what has the kid got? You know, maybe a good 10 years with you before you start really, you're like a grandparent, not a parent. You know, so I find that incredibly selfish. And I say that as someone who, Aubrey is, you know, my youngest child. She'll be 9 in April. I had her right before I turned 35. And I can tell you, I say it all the time, I would not recommend people to have children after 35. You're just in a different place mentally, physically, than you are in your mid-20s or early 30s having children. And there's some people that it works out great for. They have kids later in life, and it works out fine for them. But in my experience, my friends, that the ones that chose to wait and, you know, start their careers and do all of that and then have kids later, I hate to say it, but I do not know a single one of them that is happy. They all love their children. I can say that without a doubt. But it's come with a lot of struggle for them because they live the majority of their adult life free of children, you know, and then in their very late 30s or early 40s, they have a kid and their life completely changes in ways that, you know, they're kind of set in their ways at that point. And, you know, I've had some people confide to me about just how very much unhappy they were. And they didn't regret their children. They regretted not having them younger. So, you know, there's that. Hi, Grandma. Oh, so here's Lead with Love. I got married in high desert prison to the guy I was pregnant by. We lasted 15 years. But yes, he cheated and came home to her. Oh, that's awful, Lead with Love. I'm sorry. That is awful. I have an entire trove of pictures at visiting several prisons. High Desert, Folsom. I don't think I'm going to pronounce that right. Corcoran and New Folsom. Wow. So he went to prison, and you were pregnant, and then you guys ended up getting married in the prison. And that's really awful. So if you were pregnant when he went into prison, yeah, you had the baby, obviously. So was the child 15 when he got out, and he got out and went to the other woman that he was cheating with? What an asshole. If I'm wrong, correct me, but that's what I was getting out of your story. And that's just, I read this one woman's comment and I thought it was so on point. And she said, somehow men will always find the audacity. And I had to agree with that. Sorry, guys. This isn't a hate men, thing. But unfortunately, in my experience, I found that to be true. So 1 hour drive, Flores. Hi. What do you think about Wade Wilson? I'm a little behind, by the way. Oh, Wade Wilson. What do I think about Wade Wilson? I probably would have a lot more videos on Wade Wilson if my Wi-Fi wasn't all jacked up and I was having a bunch of technical issues, that kind of stopped me from doing videos on him. I think Wade is a complete psychopath. Truly. I think he was a spoiled brat who was never told no. I think he definitely has mental issues. That's clear. I think him experimenting with drugs, becoming an addict at age 13. There's clearly stuff wrong with him from a very young age. And then I think once he found out, about the adoption, I think that kind of really sent him over the edge. But listening to his parents on the phone calls from prison, Paige, listening to his parents talk to him was heartbreaking. That was a tough call to listen to, because his mother truly does sound like the sweetest woman on the planet. But I would just love to know more about her, because she just sounds like she loves Wade unconditionally. And when he got off the phone with them, he called Jesse, and he's talking to Jesse about his parents. And, he said basically, well, I'm not really that close with my mom. She's old. She's old and not really that close to her. And, he just doesn't seem to have a lot of respect for his parents, really, at all. He told, after he was sentenced in June or July, he didn't call his parents for 3 months. He just didn't call them. He was sentenced to death and did not call them. So his mom, when he finally did call them, his mom was like, it's been so long since I've heard from you. And he was like, oh, I know. But, I didn't want to call because it would just be sad and you would be sad. And I just didn't want to be sad. But then again, he gets off the phone with her and calls Jesse and tells her, that he's just not close to her. His mom's old and blah, blah, blah. I just thought he was so disrespectful. He clearly has a lot of issues. And I do think that he hates women. I think he's got severe mommy issues. I think the Wilsons tried to do everything they possibly could for him. It wasn't enough, clearly. And I just don't think that you can blame all of his behavior on drug addiction, because in prison, he's having these explicit phone calls with Vivian, which I did do a video about that. And he's just living out his sick sexual fantasies with her. And he doesn't sound high to me on the phone. And his fantasy was to rape and kill her. And he describes in detail exactly how he wants to do that. So I think Wade Wilson he's definitely where he belongs. And there, thank God, there's zero hope of that man ever getting out. I think his biological father, Steve, did the world a great service by turning him in and getting Wade to tell where Diane Ruiz's body was. I think he saved a lot of lives, honestly. I think Wade would have killed a whole lot more if he could, without remorse. To this day, he has literally never shown a single ounce of remorse for his victims or their families. Not at all. So that's what I think about Wade Wilson. You love that saying. Let's see. Grandma, in my opinion, Wade is an opportunistic, grifting coward. But what do I know? Oh, yeah, absolutely. Perfect description, Grandma. Perfect description. That is exactly what he is. A cold-blooded, heartless opportunist. That man will use anyone and everyone. Anyone he gets on the phone with, he morphs into them. And I hate to say this, but I was listening to one of the Menendez brothers, I can't even remember which one it was. One of them, like it was like a brief little prison call, and it reminded me so much of Wade. I think it was Lyle. I do think it was Lyle. But he was asking, it was Lyle. It was Lyle because he was talking to Norma Novelli. And he pulled a Wade Wilson. Because you know how Wade, every time he would get on the phone with someone, he would always act like he was very interested in whatever it was they were doing. Like, what are you doing? You know, what are you doing? So what are you up to today? Oh, really? Oh, wow. I mean, they could tell him that they were vacuuming. And he'd be like, oh, cool. Yeah, just act really interested in whatever it was about that person. And Lyle did the exact same thing with Norma. Oh, hey, what are you up to? What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. What's going on with you? Just, acting so interested in her and her life. And I think that's how these prisoners get people. They're a captive audience. And again, for lonely people, that can be very attractive. If you're a lonely person, doesn't really have a lot of people in your life, or doesn't really have a partner or friends, or, you kind of stick to yourself type person, having someone that calls you every day like clockwork and listens to everything that you have to say and all about your life and all about your feelings or opinions or viewpoints, that can be very attractive to a lonely person. And I think, prisoners prey off of that. Women, we are the glue of the family. Usually we are usually the fixers in the family. We usually are the ones that bring our husbands up and bring our children up. And, we just kind of, we carry a lot of the emotional burdens of our families on our shoulders, whereas our husbands may carry more of a financial burden on their shoulders. We sort of carry that burden a lot more, the emotions and keeping everybody happy. And oftentimes it comes at the expense of our own happiness, but we just kind of accept that lot in life. And so I think that, women, we always have that, I can fix him. I can be the one to help you. I can make it all better. I can be your Band-Aid. Well, it turns out you can't. It honestly scares me that the Menendez brothers will be let out. I truly, it is my opinion, they should not be let out. They were given a life without parole, and they should serve that sentence. Because here's the thing, if they did not come from a wealthy family and there was no money involved, let's just say these were two guys from 8 Mile, where Eminem was from, the really bad part of town. Their family has no money. They killed both their parents with shotguns. We wouldn't even know their names. We wouldn't even know their names. We would not be talking about them 35 years later. They would have been tossed in jail, and they would have been left there, and people would have forgotten about them, abuse or not. And I think the only reason that this case stays in the headlines for 3+ decades is because they come from wealth. And I think that's the only reason why. So let's see, 1 hour drive floors. I love your name, and I would love to know why you picked that name. It's an interesting name, 1 hour drive floors. But anyway, 1 hour drive floors saying, I had no idea his adoptive parents have a phone call. Damn, I have to go find that one now. Yes, I really wanted to cover that phone call because when I initially listened to it, I had a lot of things to say, but you should. It's not a long call. He calls them, and he's really excited to tell them about Ari, because at this point he still believes that Ari is real and she's going to help get him out of jail. So he almost sounds like a child, like really excited to tell his parents all about this. And, his dad initially pretends like he's not there because he clearly doesn't want to talk to Wade or be on the phone with him. But yeah, go hunt that phone call down and you'll see. Pretty sad. Grandma is saying can't fix broken people. They have to repair their own psyches. Exactly. It took me a lot of years to realize that about myself, about my partner, and about other people. There's a such thing as comforting people, and there's a such thing as trying to fix someone. You cannot fix anyone. You can't. That work has to come from within. And I would say at this point, to bring the conversation back to the Menendez brothers, which is what the stream is about, I don't think anybody is quote unquote fixing Lyle or Lyle doing internal work on himself to not be a serial cheater like his father was. He seems very happy in those pictures with that 20-year-old girl. And then look at his poor wife. Look at his poor wife. This is Lyle's wife in this picture. And this is why I'm leaving it up. Her head in her hand, she is clearly crying, and wipes her tears and walks away from that window. And I don't know, people were asking, why is she by the window anyway? I don't know, it's her damn window. If she pays to live there, wants some fresh air, wants to cry out of her window over her cheating, imprisoned husband, well, I'd say that she can do that. Unfortunately for her, Inside Edition cameras caught her doing that. But there is a part of me that feels like I think she may have wanted that to be seen. Instead of coming out and saying a bunch of stuff in the media, this picture of her speaks 1,000 words. So it just, and I've also noticed, I'm not going to crap on Tammy or anything, Tammy Menendez, but I have noticed on her Twitter account that she, like the day after this was announced, that this story broke about Lyle, Tammy posts this thing of, I'm gonna keep on loving you. And it's this video, and I'm not saying that she's like rubbing her and Eric's marriage in anybody's face, but I do think somewhere in her mind she's thinking, yep, we have a stronger marriage. We have a better marriage because this isn't happening. But that's why that other video that I just showed you guys, where it said Eric got an infraction for having excessive contact with a female visitor. Who was the female visitor? Was it his wife? Did he get in trouble for trying to kiss his wife or hold her hands too much or touch her legs or something? Was it his wife? Who was the female visitor? They did not name it. I tried to zoom in because Inside Edition, showed the paperwork that they got that had their infractions on it. And I tried to zoom in to read it, but you can't. You can make out a couple of words, but you can't read it. So I was going to go on Reddit and see if anybody has those papers about their infractions, just to see if. But I feel like if anybody did and they knew who the female visitor was, they would say, I don't know. I think I am going to. Oh, that's okay, Grandma. I'll see you soon. Oh, thank you, Lead with Love. I can't wait to read that email. So Sweet Sativa, hi. All my old folks are back. I'm so happy to see you guys. He sent an email meant for his girlfriend to his wife on accident. Apparently the girlfriend is 36. Oh, Sweet Sativa, bringing the tea. Are you talking about Eric? So Eric also has a girlfriend. Am I reading this correctly? Or you can't be talking about Lyle, because Lyle's girlfriend's only 20. So I'm eagerly awaiting your answer. Oh, thank God you're back, Grandma. That didn't take long. I'm glad. I am highly interested now, Sweet Sativa, because I didn't go digging too much because there's so many pro Menendez accounts that it's hard to find the real tea on them at this point. But yeah, I really think Sweet Sativa is saying that Eric sent an email meant for his girlfriend, but he sent it to his wife on accident, and his girlfriend is 36. I can't imagine that she's talking about Lyle because Lyle's new girlfriend is not 36. She's 20. So who are you talking about, Eric? Sweet Sativa, stop leaving me in defense or suspense, darn it. I said defense. I watch too much trial stuff. Where's my phone? Now I got to Google because you're not answering me. I know, Grandma. If this is true, what in the world are these two morons doing? I mean, seriously. You get that a lot about your name? What does it mean? Is it like, do you have a flooring company, like a something like that? Eric, I'm gonna Google this. 36-year-old girlfriend. I'm not seeing anything. Not seeing anything about Eric and a girlfriend, but again, yeah, I wish Sweet Sativa would answer. I really want to hear. I don't see anything about Eric. I'm Googling. Maybe I should go look on Reddit because, again, Reddit always has the tea. So let's see here. Eric. I would love to know where you got the information too. Sweet Sativa. Yeah, I'm just not seeing anything about that. So I guess I'll wait for her to answer. So 1 hour drive floor says, I think the Menendez brothers story is still relevant. Yes, number one, definitely because of the wealth, but more importantly, too, most definitely because of the claims of SA. Yes, which that whole thing. I mean, this case should have been so cut and dry. I mean, it doesn't get more cut and dry than these two guys went in, literally blew their parents' face off. They're guilty. They didn't go to trial over guilt or innocence. They never contested their guilt. I mean, they lied at first, but when they were caught, they were caught. So when they went to trial, there was no pleading of innocence. What the lawyers were arguing over was the sentencing. What should their sentencing be? Not whether they're innocent or guilty. And that is another thing. I see a lot of people online say, free them, they're innocent. They're not innocent. They are 100% guilty. Even they don't deny that. But their trial was all about that, all about the sentencing. Were they going to get death row? Were they going to get life without parole? Were they going to get manslaughter? So the SA claims were huge because if the jury believed that, then they would hopefully give them manslaughter and they would do something like Gypsy Rose did, maybe 10 years and get out. Of course, we all know that is not what happened. and they got life without parole because they did not allow, or they allowed very little about this sexual assault in the second trial. So 1 hour drive floors. The way our society has changed and become more open conversationally about the taboo topic in general, I feel is why their story is as relevant as it is. Just my thoughts. I don't know though. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree. We have come a very long way since the early 90s in talking about stuff. But at the same time, we kind of haven't. Because even on this platform, on this day, if you say the word rape, oh my God, your channel might get taken down. If you say the word murder, people have to make up these ridiculous words. Schmurder and graping and, just really stupid word. Use the darn word. Why can we not use these words? This stuff happens to people, and we shouldn't be using these code words like that somehow makes it better. It doesn't. To me, it's like when parents don't teach their children proper terms for their anatomy. It's not your la-la. It's not your winky. That is a penis. That is a vagina. Let's use proper terminology here. I do not see the problem with saying these are murderers. They're not murderers. They are murderers. Jose Menendez didn't grape them. He raped them. I do not see the problem with using proper terms, okay? I cannot say that enough. 1 hour drive floor is saying, I don't know how your channel popped up on my feed, but I'm glad I subbed, and I hope to catch more of your lives. I like your take on things, different perspectives, and discussion that most other live streamers. I think you're still finishing that comment, but I am glad that you found me too. And thank you for subbing. I'm glad that you guys are all here. It helps because in real life, I only have a couple of friends that are into true crime. Grandma's one of them. But I only have a couple that are into true crime. Everyone else, I can't really talk about this stuff. They get very bored very easily, and they don't really like talking about true crime. So it helps a lot to come on here, share my thoughts with you guys, hear what you guys have to say, and just kind of get it all out. So 1 hour drive floors is saying different perspective and discussion that most other live streamers. Ding, ding, ding. You got it. LOL. First person to guess right. Really? Is that really why? Because you have a flooring company, I suppose. Like steam cleaning, I would guess, that just makes sense. So, all right, I guess I've been live for an hour. It does not feel like an hour. But I think it is time for me to take a shower. Tyler will be home soon. We have about 5 inches of snow outside. So we're definitely going to have a white Thanksgiving. And for sure going to have a white Christmas, which will be pretty awesome. But I'm going to end this live stream with just slowing this down and watching Rebecca in slow motion of how just really sad this woman is. Look at his creep-ass face. Sorry. Okay, so it's going to be really slow.
They've been married.
Actually, I'm gonna mute the sound. I cannot listen to that. So we're just gonna watch her for a second. Just take a look at how heartbroken. If I could reach to the screen and just give this woman a hug and tell her it's gonna be okay. It is going to be okay. Let him have that little 20-year-old that is not going to do anything for him. And go find yourself a good man. That's what I would say to her. You can see right here that she's crying. Very sad. Very sad for her. And I do hope that she stops. Ooh, that was a bad stop on this reporter's face. But I really do hope that she stops, you know, like publicly running his Facebook page and all of that. It's absolutely absurd that he found this girl through this page, that his wife, she posts all kinds of things about sexual abuse victims and stuff like that. And he had the audacity to find this woman on that page. It's predatory in a way. And people have pointed this out. I do want to say this. His page is supposed to be for SA survivors, abuse survivors, sexual assault survivors, all of that. And the audacity of this 56-year-old man to find this very young woman on that page and then slide into her DMs on a contraband phone and catfish her at first. It's just predatory behavior. It really is. And I've seen a few brave folks say that and then quickly get, just obliterated in the comments. I've been being very open with my comments about this. And I've gotten a lot of comments back that are, mind your own business. This has nothing to do with their case, and blah, blah. And I think it has a lot to do with their case because it shows his character. It really does. And Sweet Sativa never did answer me back, darn it. YouTube does that because children get on YouTube, so they're trying to protect innocent ears from the dangers of the world. Well, I understand that 1 hour drive floor, but I will tell you, I don't know if you have your own YouTube channel or not, but like when I get done with this live stream and I end it, and I'll go into the details in the YouTube studio, and it will ask me, is this video made for children? Yes or no. Of course, my channel will never be made for children, so I always put no. And then it should not pop up on kids, news feeds or anything like that. Like Aubrey, we have hers set to an age appropriate, thing. So stuff like this doesn't pop up on her when she's scrolling through YouTube. So there is that feature. But yeah. And then 1 hour drive floors, but that's the parent's job, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly. See, I didn't even read your second comment, but right, that's what we did with Aubrey's phone. Jace's 13, I don't limit his as much as hers, but, it really is the parent's responsibility that you should know what your kids are watching, or what are they looking at online, what are they, partaking in. I would never, I've let my kids come on my streams if I'm not talking about true crime. If I am, you're not going to see them, or I'm going to stop the stream. I've had to do that before. I've stopped dead midstream because my kids have either came in the room or something like that, and I've ended live streams over that. So, but all right, guys, I am over an hour now. So thank you for being here. And thank you again, 1 hour drive floors, for subbing. I really appreciate that. Lead with love. Thank you so much. And I am definitely going to read that email. Grandma, Sweet Sativa, thank all you guys for being here. And I will see you next time. Bye for now.